Marcus Hale always said that the night shift on Haven 6 felt too quiet for a space station full of scientists, engineers, and security officers. But on this night, the silence felt heavier than usual, like something unseen was waiting behind the metal walls. His small cabin hummed with the low sound of running systems. A dim blue light glowed above his desk, where a holographic diagnostic panel floated in the air. Marcus leaned forward, rubbing his eyes as lines of data scrolled in front of him. He had already been on shift for 10 hours. His mind was tired, but the station's life support systems were acting strange, and he could not ignore the alerts. He checked the air filters, then the water recyclers, then the quantum relay that handled long-distance communication. Everything looked stable. Nothing explained the flicker in the system logs. He pushed back in his chair with a sigh. Great. Another night of chasing ghosts, he muttered. It was 11 o'clock late, even by space station standards. The hallways outside would be empty, lights dimmed, most of the crew asleep. Marcus planned to finish one last scan and then sleep for a few hours. He reached toward the control pad. And then, knock. A soft sound at first. Then a second knock, firmer this time. Marcus froze. No one ever knocked on cabin doors at this hour. If there was an emergency, the station's comm system would alert everyone immediately. If it was something small, people usually waited until morning. He stood up slowly. Another knock. Marcus swallowed and opened the door. Dr. Lyra Vance stood there. She was the last person he expected to see. A respected xenolinguist, known for her calm, confident voice and sharp, thoughtful eyes. She was normally steady, almost peaceful, someone who would never rush or panic. But tonight she looked different. Her shoulders were tense, and her dark hair was slightly messy, like she had walked fast through the corridors. Her eyes held a strange mix of urgency and worry. She wasn't wearing her lab coat, only a simple gray shirt and black trousers, and she kept glancing over her shoulder as if checking for someone. "Marcus," she whispered, "I need to come in." He stepped aside immediately. She entered the room quickly, and the door slid shut behind her. "What's going on?" Marcus asked. "Is something wrong with the station?" She shook her head. "Not exactly with the station. Something else." Marcus tried to understand her tone. It wasn't fear, not exactly. She sounded alert, like someone who had just discovered something important and wasn't sure how to share it. "Did something happen in the xenolinguistics lab?" Marcus asked. She took a slow breath. "Yes, and I found something. Something I cannot explain in any scientific way." Her voice dropped to a whisper again. "And I believe it is connected to you." Marcus blinked. Him? How could anything coming from deep space be connected to him? He tried to joke, though his voice came out uneven. "Unless aliens are asking for engineering help? I doubt it." She didn't laugh. Instead, she stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Marcus, did your father ever teach you a code when you were young? Something old? Something private?" That question hit him like a cold wave. He nodded slowly. "Yes. It was a simple cipher. My dad loved puzzles. We used it for fun. But he died when I was 10. Why?" Dr. Vance looked at him with intensity. "I intercepted a signal tonight, a transmission that was not broadcast by any human source. It came from deep space, far beyond our charted regions. And part of the message was written in that code." Marcus stared at her. For a moment, his mind went blank. He felt the room tilt slightly. "That's impossible," he said quietly. "No one knows that code except me. It's not recorded anywhere." "I know," she said, "which is why I came here the moment I confirmed it." A chill crawled down Marcus's spine. He sat down slowly on the edge of his bed. "Can you show me the message?" "4. I will," she said. "But not right now. It isn't safe in your cabin, and it isn't safe on any system connected to the station's quantum array." She placed a small data chip on his desk but didn't touch the station console. Do not plug this into anything connected to the network. Do not open any system tied to the array. Not tonight. Marcus frowned. Why? Is the station being monitored? Her jaw tightened. Yes, she whispered. But not by us. Marcus felt his heart pound. He had lived on Haven 6 for 3 years. He knew every system, every emergency protocol. But Dr. Vance's voice carried a warning he had never heard before. A warning beyond normal station threats. What do you mean? You think something is inside the system? Not inside, she said. Watching. Observing. The moment I started decoding the signal, I noticed the relay responding in ways I did not command. As if someone or something was checking what I saw. Marcus's skin prickled. And you think it's connected to the signal? I think whoever sent the signal knew we would receive it, she said. And I think they knew it would be decoded by me, which means they planned for the message to reach you. Marcus stood up again, pacing slowly. But why me? I'm nobody. I'm just an engineer. End quote. Dr. Vance gave a small, almost sad smile. Marcus, your father wasn't just an engineer. He worked on early deep space exploration archives before they were classified. You told me once he had strange stories. Yes, sir. Marcus nodded faintly. He did. He told me humans would one day find something in the stars that recognized us. I thought he was just dreaming. But what if he wasn't? Dr. Vance said. The idea made Marcus's stomach tighten. He tried to think of every logical explanation, but none made sense. No one outside Haven 6 would have access to his father's old cipher. Even the Admiralty files would not include something personal like that. This was something else. Something bigger. Dr. Vance, he said slowly. You look like you're expecting trouble. Are we in danger? She took a long breath. For the first time, Marcus realized how stressed she must have felt walking alone to his cabin at this hour. I don't know if we are in danger, she said. But I do know someone tried to hide the signal the moment I decoded the first part of it. It disappeared from the public logs. If I hadn't saved a private copy, it would be gone. Marcus stared. Something was overwriting station logs. And now you think someone is watching us? He asked. Yes. Which is why I came personally. I could not risk sending you a message. Marcus felt a cold shiver run through him. What did the message say? He whispered. She hesitated. Not because she didn't want to tell him, but because she wanted him ready. Then she said the words that kept Marcus awake for the rest of that night. It said, Marcus Hale. We remember. Marcus. Silence filled the cabin. Marcus felt the air grow heavier around him. He could not breathe for a moment. Remember me, he repeated softly. But I've never been anywhere outside human space. That is what makes this so important, she said. Whatever sent that message claims to know your name and your code. And that means the contact might not be new. Marcus sank onto the chair again. Dr. Vance stepped toward the door but kept her voice low. Tomorrow morning, meet me in my private lab. Do not speak to anyone about this. Do not use any station computer. And whatever happens, Marcus, do not open the quantum relay. He nodded slowly. When she left, the room felt darker. The quiet hum of the cabin now sounded like a whisper. He stared at the data chip on the table, small and harmless looking. He lay down, but sleep would not come. His thoughts spun in circles. A message from beyond known space, written in his childhood code, calling his name, hidden by someone on the station, and Dr. Vance's final words echoed in his mind again and again. Don't open the quantum relay tonight. They're watching. Marcus didn't know who they were, but he was certain of one thing. Nothing in his life would ever be normal again. The next morning, Marcus woke to the faint hum of the station. Sunlight, or what passed for sunlight in a space station, glimmered through the small observation window of his cabin. But he did not feel rested. His mind kept returning to the words Dr. Vance had whispered. Marcus Hale. We remember. He had replayed them over and over in his head. Who remembered him? And why? He dressed quickly and made his way to Dr. Vance's lab. The station corridors were empty, as most of the crew were still in sleep cycles or conducting automated tasks. The silence was broken only by the occasional hiss of the air recyclers. Marcus could feel his heartbeat in his ears as he approached the lab. Dr. Vance was waiting. She had removed her coat this time, revealing a dark blue jumpsuit that marked her as senior research staff. Her eyes were sharp, alive with urgency, and she was already examining a series of floating holographic panels. Good, she said the moment Marcus stepped inside. You're here. I need you to see this. She turned to a console and waved her hand over a panel. A glowing, multi-layered hologram appeared. It was a strange sequence of symbols, colors, and shapes that shifted and danced like a living thing. This, she said, is the signal I intercepted last night. Marcus leaned forward, trying to make sense of the patterns. At first, it was completely incomprehensible. The shapes did not resemble any human language he had studied, not even the alien glyphs archived in the station's universal database. Can you decode it? Marcus asked. Dr. Vance shook her head. Partially. It is, unlike anything we have encountered. But there is a layer of code embedded in the signal that matches your father's cipher, the one you learned as a child. Marcus's stomach twisted. He remembered the small book of ciphers his father had given him. They were simple substitutions and rearrangements, puzzles meant to be fun. They were never meant for anything serious. And yet, here they were, hidden inside a message coming from somewhere far beyond human space. You're saying this message was meant for me? Marcus asked, almost in disbelief. Dr. Vance nodded. Or at least, it expects you to decode it. Marcus felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. He had always loved puzzles. But this was not a game. This was something else. Something alive. Somehow aware that he existed. Dr. Vance's fingers moved quickly over the console. The holographic shapes began to shift, aligning themselves in ways that revealed hidden patterns. Letters, numbers, and symbols he recognized from his father's cipher began to emerge. Marcus stepped closer. I can read this, he whispered. The message was short, but its meaning was overwhelming. We remember. We are grateful. We wait for you. Marcus stared at the floating symbols, his mind struggling to comprehend. Wait for me? Who are we? Dr. Vance's lips pressed together. She seemed reluctant to speak. That is what we need to find out. The signal is old. Marcus, older than any human exploratory data we have. It is from a civilization that predates us by hundreds of years. And yet, it refers to humanity in ways I cannot explain. Marcus's mind raced. Older than humans? But that's impossible. Humans only left the Sol system a few centuries ago. That is what makes this so important, Dr. Vance said. Somewhere out there is a species that has been watching humanity since before our first deep space explorers reached other star systems. And they are waiting for something. Marcus swallowed hard. He tried to imagine a civilization older than humans, studying them from the shadows, storing memories of their actions, and now reaching out, using a cipher his father had invented. It was almost too much to believe. Dr. Vance continued. I think they were in contact with humans before. Perhaps your father's early work archives that were lost, forgotten, or classified, was connected. They might have learned about your family and prepared for this moment. Marcus felt a chill. His father had always been secretive about some projects he worked on before the big space expansions. Projects no one talked about. Projects that might have changed the course of human exploration. Marcus had never understood them fully. Until now. What if it's a trap? Marcus asked quietly. What if whoever sent this is dangerous? Dr. Vance shook her head. We cannot know. But it seems to be benevolent. At least, it recognizes humans in a positive way. And it expects you. Marcus stared at the message again. The words seemed to glow brighter in the hologram, almost alive. He could feel a strange sense of familiarity, as though the symbols were calling to him directly. I need more time, Marcus said, though he knew he would not sleep again tonight. Dr. Vance nodded. We'll work together. But first, we need to verify the source. I have already traced the signal's path. It is coming from a region far beyond our mapped systems, an uncharted star cluster. The distance is unimaginable. The fact it reached us at all. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. And they expect me to do what? Just respond? Yes, Dr. Vance said. And no. The message seems to be an invitation. Not just to communicate, but to reconnect with a civilization that once knew humans in ways the rest of us have forgotten. Marcus's mind raced. He thought of the countless times he had stared at the stars, imagining life beyond Earth. He had always hoped humans would meet other beings someday. He had never imagined that humans might have been remembered, honored, even revered, by a species he had never met. Dr. Vance's voice cut through his thoughts. We need to act carefully. The station logs were altered when I first detected the signal. Someone or something is monitoring any attempt to decode it. That means we cannot use normal communication channels. Not until we understand more. Marcus nodded slowly. He understood the danger, but he could not shake the feeling of wonder. Somewhere out there, a species remembered humanity. Not as strangers, not as invaders, but as teachers, explorers, perhaps even heroes. He felt a thrill of pride. Humanity, in its early steps into the galaxy, had made mistakes, had struggled, but had left a mark. And now that mark was calling to him directly. Dr. Vance continued, I've created a secure, isolated module. It is not connected to the station network. We can decode the rest of the message there, but it will take time. Hours, maybe days, and we cannot rush it. One wrong move, and whoever or whatever is watching will notice. Marcus felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. This was bigger than any engineering problem, bigger than any station emergency. He was now part of something he could barely comprehend, something that stretched across the galaxy and possibly beyond. He took a deep breath. Let's do it. They moved to the isolated module, a small room deep within Haven 6, shielded from the station's main systems. Marcus plugged the data chip into the isolated console. A soft hum filled the room as the holographic symbols sprang to life again, more vivid, more intricate than before. Hours passed. Marcus and Dr. Vance worked together, carefully decoding layer after layer. The message unfolded in a way that was almost poetic. It spoke of memories, of gratitude, of lessons learned by a species far older than humanity. It referenced human explorers of long ago, voyages that had been recorded and preserved by someone, or something, beyond the known galaxy. Marcus's hands shook as he read the names, the dates, the stories. Some were real, some were from his father's archives, some were impossible. This civilization, Marcus whispered. They've been watching us all this time, learning from us, and now they're waiting for something from us. Dr. Vance nodded. Yes, and I believe they expect you to lead the first step. You, Marcus, because of your father's connection, because of the code he created, and because of your presence here. Marcus felt his heart pound. He had never imagined that humanity's legacy could be remembered in such a way, that a species beyond the stars could hold humans in such regard. And yet, Here it was, undeniable. He looked at Dr. Vance. "We have to respond," he said. "But carefully." She smiled faintly. "Yes. But first, we need to understand more. The message is not just an invitation, it is a story. And we must know the story before we act." Marcus nodded. For the first time, he felt the full weight of his father's legacy, the reach of humanity, and the responsibility of the moment. Somewhere in the stars, a civilization remembered humanity, and they were waiting. Marcus could not sleep. Not then, not ever. But he also felt something he had never felt before. Hope. The galaxy was bigger than he had ever imagined, and humanity, small, fragile, imperfect humanity, was already leaving its mark. Marcus could not sleep that night. His mind was alive with images of distant stars, strange symbols, and the words that haunted him. "We remember. We are grateful. We wait for you." He paced his small cabin, staring out at the black void of space through the tiny observation window. Beyond the station, countless stars blinked cold and distant, each one a potential world, a possible civilization. But now, for the first time, Marcus realized that humans were not alone in leaving a mark on the galaxy. By the time he reached Dr. Vance's lab in the morning, he felt both anxious and excited. The station was quiet. Most of the crew were in sleep cycles or busy with routine maintenance. The emptiness of the corridors only made the events of the past days feel more surreal. Dr. Vance was already there, her eyes bright with determination. "Good," she said. "I've prepared a response, but it must be sent carefully. The message is encoded. We cannot use the station's standard systems. If we do, anyone or anything watching will notice immediately." Marcus nodded. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing on him. "Where do we send it?" he asked. "To the source of the signal," Dr. Vance replied. "I have triangulated it as best I can, but it is far beyond human-mapped space. The signal is older than our records. It travels in patterns that make our fastest ships seem slow by comparison. Whatever is out there, they are waiting for our reply." Marcus swallowed. "And they expect me to reply." "Yes," she said. "Because of the code, you know, because of your father's work, and because of your connection to early deep space exploration. They trust that humanity will respond correctly." Marcus took a deep breath. The gravity of the moment weighed heavily on him. For the first time, he understood that humanity's place in the galaxy was larger than he had imagined. They were not just explorers, they were remembered, honored, even revered. Dr. Vance activated the isolated module. Holographic panels floated in the air, shimmering with symbols and patterns. The data chip Marcus had brought from his cabin hovered above the console, ready to transmit. "Are you ready?" Dr. Vance asked. Marcus nodded. "Let's do it." He placed his hands over the console, tracing the patterns as if he could feel the signal with his fingers. His father's cipher came naturally to him. The shapes and letters aligned perfectly with his memory, like pieces of a puzzle falling into place. As Marcus entered the final sequence, the room filled with a strange, soft hum. The holographic panels flickered and shifted, and then the air around them seemed to vibrate, as if the station itself were aware of what was happening. Suddenly, a new signal appeared, one that did not come from the chip. Materializing outside the station's observation window, Marcus froze. His heart pounded. "What is that?" he whispered. Dr. Vance's eyes widened. "It's a probe. Some kind of autonomous vessel. It wasn't here before." The probe hovered silently, its surface reflecting the starlight in strange, shifting patterns. It was small, no larger than a shuttle, but its shape was unlike anything Marcus had seen. Smooth, organic-looking curves intertwined with glowing lines of light. It seemed alive. Marcus felt a mix of fear and awe. The probe was not threatening, but it carried an unmistakable presence. Intelligence, awareness, purpose. A panel on the probe lit up, projecting a holographic message in the air. The shapes were strange, but Marcus recognized the code embedded within. It was his father's cipher. Dr. Vance spoke softly. "They are communicating directly with you." Marcus's hands trembled as he traced the symbols. The message unfolded in simple words, understandable because of the cipher. "We remember your kind. We remember the ones who taught us to rise. We are the Arun. We owe you. Now, we return." Marcus stepped back, unable to believe what he was reading. "The Arun," Dr. Vance whispered. "They must be the civilization behind the signal. They are the species that learned from humans long before we charted these stars." Marcus's mind raced. Learned from humans? How? When? Dr. Vance's voice was calm, but full of awe. "It seems your father's early expeditions, some long-lost missions, may have encountered a pre-stellar species. They helped them survive, and in return, they recorded everything. They remember humans as teachers, as guides. They have been watching ever since." Marcus felt a strange sense of pride and wonder. Humanity's small, fragile, imperfect humanity had left a legacy in the stars. And now, that legacy had returned, reaching out across unimaginable distances to say thanks. The probe projected more images. Star maps Marcus had never seen. Vessels and cities of strange design. Landscapes that looked almost like a dream. But what struck him most were the images of early human explorers' faces, names, and missions he recognized from archives his father had saved. Somehow, the Arun had preserved these records for centuries, waiting for a moment to reconnect. Dr. Vance's voice broke the silence. "Marcus, they are asking for your guidance. Not just to communicate, but to help them prepare. Something is coming, a threat from beyond their galaxy. They know it is approaching, and they want humanity's help." Marcus's chest tightened. "A threat?" "Yes," she said. "They call it the Devourer. It is a machine civilization that consumes unstable star systems. Entire star clusters vanish in its path. The Arun have been preparing, but they need guidance from humans, your people who once helped them survive." Marcus stared at the probe. The enormity of it hit him. Humanity had left a mark on the galaxy. But now, that mark was being tested, and the responsibility had returned to him. Dr. Vance placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We must respond carefully. But Marcus, this is a moment you were meant for. The Arun trust you. Humanity's legacy is in your hands." Marcus nodded, swallowing his fear. He realized that his father's stories, the ciphers, the lessons, everything had led to this moment. And now, he had to rise to the challenge. He stepped forward and activated the final interface. His hands moved over the holographic symbols, arranging them in a message of gratitude, acknowledgement, and readiness. He wrote words that conveyed trust and the willingness to assist. "We remember you. We are ready. We will help." The probe shone brighter, almost like it understood. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, it folded itself in a strange, impossible motion and disappeared into the void, leaving a faint trail of light that vanished in seconds. Marcus and Dr. Vance stood in silence. "Did it understand?" Marcus asked, voice trembling. "Yes," Dr. Vance said. "And they will prepare. But Marcus, we need to get ready too. Humanity is about to step into something much larger than we imagined. And the galaxy will soon know why humans are not just explorers, but teachers, innovators, and survivors." Marcus felt a surge of determination. He had faced systems, failures, technical emergencies, and countless calculations. But this was different. This was the moment when humanity's place in the cosmos had been recognized, when their influence had returned across light years. He looked at Dr. Vance. We need to learn everything about the Arun, every record, every detail. We have to be ready for what's coming. She nodded. And we will. Together. Marcus took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history and responsibility settle on him. For the first time, he felt a true connection to the stars, not just as a human, but as a representative of a species that had already left its mark on the galaxy. Somewhere, far beyond human space, the Arun were waiting. And now, humanity was returning their call. The stars outside Haven 6 seemed brighter that night, alive with possibility. Marcus knew that the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had left a legacy, and it was time to rise to meet it. The days after contact with the Arun were a blur for Marcus. Haven 6 became a hive of careful activity, though most of the crew had no idea what was happening. Dr. Vance worked tirelessly, analyzing the Arun messages, decoding star charts, and preparing reports. Marcus, meanwhile, had pored over every detail of his father's archives, connecting old records with new information from the Arun. It was clear now that humanity's influence on the galaxy was far greater than anyone had imagined. The Arun were not simply another civilization, they were proof that humans had helped shape life beyond Earth. And now, they had returned, asking for help in a fight that could change the stars forever. One morning, Marcus stood by the observation window, staring at the black void of space. Dr. Vance entered quietly. "You're thinking too much," she said gently, though she understood the weight of what he was considering. "I can't stop," Marcus admitted. "I keep seeing the Arun ships, their cities, their faces, and then I think about the Devourer, the machine civilization you mentioned. How do we even prepare?" Dr. Vance approached, her expression firm. "We start small. Knowledge is power. Understanding the threat is the first step. The Arun have star charts, historical data, and defense strategies. But they need guidance, human guidance, someone to coordinate with them. That someone is you." Marcus swallowed. The responsibility was immense. A young engineer, on a remote station, suddenly tasked with helping a civilization centuries older than humanity defend itself. He remembered his father's words. Humans can rise to the occasion when the galaxy tests them. No, tested. Dr. Vance tapped the console. The Arun suggest a meeting. A virtual contact. They will project a representation of themselves for safety and communication. They want to explain everything, the threat, their history, and why humans are crucial. Marcus nodded. "Let's do it." The isolated module hummed to life. A large holographic projection formed in the center of the room. The light shifted, forming shapes that slowly became recognizable. Beings of delicate, graceful form, glowing with soft bioluminescence. Their eyes deep pools of wisdom. Marcus took a small step back, awestruck. They look alive," he whispered. "They are," Dr. Vance said. "And they are centuries older than humanity. Look at how they carry themselves. They have learned patience, knowledge, and gratitude, but even they are nervous about the Devourer." One of the Arun beings raised its hand in a gesture that Marcus instinctively recognized as greeting. Its voice, though alien, was translated directly into Marcus's mind by the station's interface. "Marcus Hale. Humanity remembers. You have answered the call. We are the Arun. We were saved by humans long ago. Now, we face a threat that consumes stars. We ask your guidance. Will you help us?" Marcus swallowed hard. "Yes," he said, his voice shaking. "I will help. Whatever I can do, I will do it." The Arun projected images of the Devourer. It was a machine civilization unlike anything Marcus had imagined. A massive fleet of automated vessels, each larger than human carriers, moving across star systems and absorbing energy from stars. Entire clusters of gas and dust were disappearing in its path. It moved with precision, intelligence, and relentless hunger. They have no consciousness as we understand it, one Arun explained. They are a network of machines, a virus across space. Their expansion cannot be stopped by conventional means. Marcus felt his heart pound. But he also felt something else. Pride. Humanity had faced impossible challenges before on Earth and in the first steps into space. And now, he realized, humans could rise again, not just for themselves, but for an entire civilization that owed them its life. Dr. Vance placed a hand on his shoulder. This is the moment humanity becomes more than explorers. We are teachers, innovators, leaders. Marcus, your father's legacy led us here. Your guidance will help shape the galaxy. Marcus nodded. He had thought he was alone in the universe. But now, with the Arun, he understood that humanity's reach had always extended farther than anyone imagined. And now, it was time to act. They worked for hours, coordinating with the Arun. Marcus suggested strategies based on human ingenuity, rapid adaptation, flexible tactics, and creative use of resources. The Arun were amazed by the simplicity and effectiveness of his ideas. Humans think differently, one of the Arun said. You see problems as opportunities. You improvise. You adapt. That is why we remember you. Marcus smiled faintly. We survive because we have to. And sometimes, we rise because we want to. Together, they designed a plan. Marcus would use Haven 6 as a relay station, combining human technology with Arun star maps and defensive systems. Using careful calculation, they would attempt to slow the Devourer's approach, giving the Arun time to prepare. It was dangerous, perhaps impossible. But it was a start. Days passed. Marcus barely slept, consumed by calculations, simulations, and strategy sessions. But each time he looked at the Arun, either through holographic projections or in shared data streams, he felt a surge of hope. Humanity was not powerless. They were remembered, respected, and capable of making a difference. Then came the moment they had been waiting for. The Devourer arrived at the edge of the mapped Arun systems. Its enormous fleet spread across the stars, moving with terrifying precision. Marcus, Dr. Vance, and the Arun watched, in tense silence, as the first human Arun coordinated defenses activated. Marcus's hands flew across the console, adjusting energy fields, directing protective barriers, and synchronizing signals between human and Arun systems. He felt the thrill of leadership, the power of knowledge, and the responsibility of every life depending on their actions. The Devourer tested the defenses, probing with mechanical precision, but the combined efforts of human creativity and Arun experience began to slow its advance. Systems that would have failed under a single civilization now held strong. This is working, Dr. Vance whispered. Your father's legacy, your guidance. It's making a difference. Marcus felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He realized that humanity had always been underestimated. Other species saw humans as fragile, inexperienced, or young. But humans had survived, adapted, and influenced civilizations across the galaxy. And now, the Arun would see firsthand why humans were more than explorers. They were survivors, teachers, and heroes. Hours turned into days. Each attack by the Devourer was met with human ingenuity and Arun precision. The tide began to shift. The Devourer, once unstoppable, now hesitated. Its machines encountered resistance, unlike anything they had expected. Marcus and Dr. Vance watched the holographic projections, exhausted but exhilarated. The Arun sent messages of gratitude, admiration, and hope. You have reminded us, one Arun said. Humans are extraordinary, not because of strength, but because of the mind, the heart, and the courage to act. Marcus smiled faintly. We survive because we have to, but sometimes we rise to something greater. As the final waves of the Devourer's fleet slowed, the Arun activated their own countermeasures, combining them with Marcus's strategies. Slowly, star by star, system by system, the Devourer's advance was halted. Then, with careful precision, it was pushed back into the void, far from the Arun home systems. Silence fell over the holographic projections. Marcus leaned back in his chair, exhausted but alive with pride. Humanity had succeeded, not alone, but together with the civilization they had once helped. The Arun, who had survived because of humans, now owed their safety to the ingenuity of a single human and to all of humanity. Dr. Vance placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. You did it, she said softly. You helped save an entire civilization. And the galaxy knows humans are not just explorers. We are more. Don't know. Marcus gazed out the observation window at the stars. He felt a new connection to the universe, to humanity, and to the legacy of those who had come before him. Humans were small, fragile, and often underestimated. But they had courage, creativity, and the will to rise when the galaxy tested them. Somewhere out there, the Arun celebrated, sending messages of thanks and admiration. And humanity's place in the cosmos was no longer a mystery. Marcus thought of his father, of the cipher, of the stories that had seemed like dreams. They were real. Humanity had influenced the stars. And now, the galaxy would never forget. As night fell over Haven 6, Marcus knew the universe had changed forever. Humanity was no longer just explorers. They were teachers, guardians, and heroes. And this was only the beginning. The stars outside twinkled brighter than ever, alive with possibility. Marcus smiled. Humanity had left its mark, and it was a mark that would shine across the galaxy for generations. And somewhere, far beyond the known stars, civilizations waited aware of humans, grateful to humans, and ready to witness humanity rise again.